covenant during Nehemiah's governorship. Ne 10. 1, 8. 15. A Levite descended from Jeduthun, whose son or descendant Obadiah lived in Jerusalem after the exile. 1 Ch 9. 16, 34. 16. A Levite of the descendants of Merari, who also lived in Jerusalem sometime after the Babylonian exile. Son of Hishab. 1 Ch 9. 14, 34. Ne 11. 15. 17. A leader of the sons of Adonikam who accompanied Ezra to Jerusalem in 468 BCE. He is possibly one of those whom Ezra had dispatched to request ministers for the sanctuary, resulting in the gathering of some Levites and Nethinim for the journey. Ezra 8. 1, 13, 16-20. 18. One of the priests whom Ezra, on arriving in Jerusalem, encouraged to send away the foreign wives they had taken. Son of Harim. Ez 10. 10, 11, 21, 44. 19. One of the Israelites, son of another Harim, who had also taken foreign wives but who sent them away. Ez 10. 25, 31, 44. 20. One of those who helped repair Jerusalem's wall. Son of Shechaniah, and a gatekeeper, therefore probably a Levite. Ne 3. 29. 21. The false prophet hired by Tobiah and Sanballat to tell Nehemiah of a supposed threat on his life, in this way trying to frighten Nehemiah, who was not a priest, into committing a sin by hiding in the temple. Son of Delaiah. Ne 6. 10-13. 22. One in the inaugural march arranged by Nehemiah after the wall of Jerusalem was rebuilt. Ne 12. 31-34. 23. A priest of the family of Asaph whose descendant marched in the same procession, evidently as a trumpeter. Ne 12. 31, 35. 24. A priestly musician in the same procession. Apparently a relative of No. 23. Ne 12. 31, 36. 25. A priest who apparently played the trumpet when the two Thanksgiving choirs met at the house of Jehovah on the occasion of the wall's inauguration. Ne 12. 40-42. 26. A distant descendant of David. 1 Ch 3. 9, 10, 22. Some scholars think that the words in the sons of Shemaiah, in the middle of verse 22 which is followed by only 5 names, should be omitted as a scribal error, thus crediting Shechaniah with 6 sons. However, other scholars suggest that Shemaiah and his 5 sons were reckoned as the 6 descendants of Shechaniah. Shemaiah Ria meaning Jehovah has guarded. 1. One of the ambidextrous Benjamite warriors who joined David while he was a fugitive at Ziklag. 1 Ch 12. 1, 2, 5. 2. A son of King Hoboam, hence a great-grandson of David. 2 Ch 11. 18, 19. 3. One of the sons of Harim who dismissed their foreign wives and sons when Ezra came back to Jerusalem. Ez 10. 31, 32, 44. 4. One of the sons of Binwi who had also taken foreign wives but sent them away. Ez 10. 38, 41, 44. Shemibasham. The king of Zeboiim whom Chedorlaomer and his allies defeated in the lower plain of Siddim. O textoi acute muritra longo, Shema 922, 3. The owner of the hill of Samaria. Possibly a tribe rather than an individual, for Samaria means belonging to the clan Shema. Israelite King Omri bought the mountain for 2 talents of silver $13,212 and began ruling from there in about 945 BCE 1 K 16. 23, 24. Shemida, a son of Gilead and great-grandson of Manasseh. From Shemida's 4 sons grew a tribal family, the Shemidites, that was numbered in the second wilderness census and received a territory allotment in the Promised Land. New 26. 2, 29-32. Joes 17. 2. 1ch7. 19. Shumidates Shemiddle.Midar-Middle.ites of belonging to Shemida, a family of Manasseh founded by Shemida. New 26. 29, 32. Shemanath Shemai Middle.Nith. Although the literal meaning of this musical term is the eighth, its exact significance is uncertain. It may refer to a particular musical register, or mode, a lower one, and if any musical instruments were associated with the term, they would probably be those used to play the bass tones of the musical scale. At 1 Chronicles 15. 21, harps are spoken of as being tuned to Sheminith, possibly referring to the eighth key or a lower octave, NWFTN. Probably the bass octave, DAR-FTNZ. Consistently, the superscriptions of Psalms 6 and 12, both psalms being of somber character, read to the director on stringed instruments on the lower octave Sheminith, which may indicate that these songs would be accompanied by music in a lower range and sung accordingly. See Alamoth. Shemiramoth Shemiddle.Mira-Middle.Moth. 1. A Levite musician who accompanied the Ark of the Covenant from Obed-Edom's house to Jerusalem and was afterwards stationed to play before its tent. 1ch 15. 17, 18, 20, 25. 16. 1, 4, 5. 2. One of the Levites whom Jehoshaphat had sent out to teach the law to the people in 934 BCE. 2ch 17. 7-9. Shemuel Shemiddle.Muel, name of God. The same Hebrew name is also translated Samuel. 1. Head of a forefather's house. Son or descendant of Issachar's son Tola. 1ch 7. 1, 2. 2. Tsai means tribal representative to the delegation that divided the promised land into tribal allotments. Son of Ammihud. New 34. 17, 18, 20. Shenazar Shemiddle.Nazar from Akkadion, meaning sing the moon god, protect. Phalth named son of Jehoiachin Jeconiah, born during his exile in Babylon. 1ch 3. 17, 18. Seshish Bazar. Sheol. The common grave of mankind, gravidum. Not an individual burial place or grave heb. Q-Eva, JG 16. 31. Kavumiddle.Ra, JE 35. 20, nor an individual tomb heb. Gemiddle.Hish, Job 21. 32. While several derivations for the Hebrew word Sheol have been offered, apparently it is derived from the Hebrew verb shalmiddle.al, meaning ask. Request. Regarding Sheol, in a compendious Hebrew lexicon, Samuel Pike stated that it is the common receptacle or region of the dead. So called from the insatiability of the grave, which is as it were always asking or craving more. Cambridge, 1811, p. 148. The Hebrew word Sheol occurs 65 times in the Masoretic text. In the King James Version, it is translated 31 times as hell, 31 times as grave, and 3 times as pit. The Catholic Douay version rendered the word 63 times as hell, once as pit, and once as death. In addition, at Isaiah 7:11 the Hebrew text originally read Sheol, and it was rendered as Hades in the ancient Greek versions of Aquila, Symmachus, and Theodotion, and as hell in the Douay version. CNWFTN. There is no English word that conveys the precise sense of the Hebrew word Sheol. Commenting on the use of the word hell in Bible translation, Collier's Encyclopedia 1986, Volume 12, p. 28 says, since Sheol in Old Testament times referred simply to the abode of the dead and suggested no moral distinctions, the word hell, as understood today, is not a happy translation. More recent versions transliterate the word into English as Sheol. R.S. at N.W. Regarding Sheol, the Encyclopaedia Britannica 1971, Volume O Textui Acute Miritra Longo, Shafela 923 Sheol is in front of him, and that God is in effect there. PR 15. 11. PS 139. 7, 8. AM 9. 1, 2 For this reason Job, longing to be relieved of his suffering, prayed that he might go to Sheol and later be remembered by Jehovah and be called out from Sheol. Job 14. 12-15. Throughout the inspired scriptures, Sheol is continually associated with death and not life. 1 Sah 2. 6. 2 Sah 22. 6. PS 18. 4, 5. 49. 7-10, 14, 15. 88. 2-6. 89. 48. Issa 28. 15-18. Also compare PS 116. 3, 7-10 with 2 4. 13, 14. It is spoken of as the land of darkness. Job 10. 21 and a place of silence. PS 115. 17. Abel apparently was the first one to go to Sheol, and since then countless millions of human dead have joined him in the dust of the ground. On the day of Pentecost 33 CE, the Apostle Peter quoted from Psalm 16:10 and applied it to Christ Jesus. Luke, in quoting Peter's words, used the Greek word Hades, thereby showing that Sheol and Hades refer to the same thing, mankind's common grave. Act 2. 25-27, 29-32. During the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ, Sheol, or Hades, is emptied and destroyed, through a resurrection of all of those in it. Read 20. 13, 14. See grave. Hades. Hell. Jonah and Sheol. In the account about Jonah, it is stated that Jonah prayed to Jehovah his God from the inward parts of the fish and said, "Out of my distress I called out to Jehovah, and he proceeded to answer me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried for help. You heard my voice." John 2. 1, 2. Therefore, Jonah was comparing the inside of the fish to Sheol. He was as good as dead inside the fish, but Jehovah brought up his life from the pit, or Sheol, by preserving him alive and having him disgorged. John 2. 6. Compare PS 30. 3. Jesus compared Jonah's being in the belly of the fish with what would happen in his own case, saying, "For just as Jonah was in the belly of the huge fish 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. Mount 12. 40. Although Jesus did not here use the word Sheol Hades, the Apostle Peter did use the word Hades when referring to Jesus' death and resurrection. Act 2. 27. Regarding the word Sheol, Bryn Mawr F. Price and Eugene A. Neder noted, the word occurs often in the Psalms and in the book of Job to refer to the place to which all dead people go. It is represented as a dark place, in which there is no activity worthy of the name. There are no moral distinctions there, so hell KJV is not a suitable translation, since that suggests a contrast with heaven as the dwelling place of the righteous after death. In a sense, the grave in the generic sense is a near equivalent, except that Sheol is more a mass grave in which all the dead dwell together. The use of this particular imagery may have been considered suitable here in Jonah 2. 2. In view of Jonah's imprisonment in the interior of the fish. A Translator's Handbook on the Book of Jonah, 1978, p. 37. Shechem Shepham. A site on the eastern border of the Promised Land, apparently no great distance from Riplah. New 34. 10, 11. Its location is now unknown. Sheph Sheph middle. Jehovah has judged. 1. One of the Benjamite warriors who defected from Saul to David at Ziklag. A Horibite. 1 Ch 12. 1, 2, 5. 2. The fifth son born to David while he was ruling in Hebron 1077 through 1070 BCE. Shephacia's mother was Abital. 2 Ch 3. 2, 4. 1 Ch 3. 1, 3. 3. Prince of the tribe of Simeon during David's reign. Son of Maacah. 1 Ch 27. 16, 22. 4. A son of Jehoshaphat, given many gifts and fortified cities by his father, later slain by his oldest brother Jehoram. 2ch21. 2-4. 5. One of the princes of Judah who, on securing King Zedekiah's permission to kill Jeremiah, had him thrown into a cistern. Son of Mattan. J38. 1-6, 10. 6. Founder of a family in Israel of which 372 males returned to Jerusalem with Zerubbabel in 537 BCE and 80 more, O textoi acute miritra longo, Shepa, Mount 924 when compared with the much higher central mountain range. The Shephelah was bordered by the Negev on the SJG1. 9 and the Mount Venus region of Israel beyond the low plain of Ajalon on the Njos 11. 16. The valleys that divide the rolling foothills of this region served as natural routes for EW travel. The Shephelah is fertile, and a temperate climate prevails there. Anciently the region was noted for its many sycamore trees and olive groves. It also provided pasturage for flocks and herds. 1 Chi 10. 27. 1 Ch 27. 28. 2 Ch 1. 15. 9. 27. 26. 10. The Shephelah associated with the Mount Venus region of Israel Jos 11. 16 is perhaps the hilly region between the mountains of Samaria and the plain of Sharon. This area is narrower and less distinct than the Judean Shephelah. There is no basis for viewing the distinction between Judah and Israel in the 11th chapter of Joshua c. verses 21 as an anachronism. A footnote in a commentary by C. F. Keel and F. Delitzsch observes, the distinction may be explained without difficulty even from the circumstances of Joshua's own time. Judah and the double tribe of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh received their inheritance by lot before any of the others. But whilst the tribe of Judah proceeded into the territory allotted to them in the south, all the other tribes still remained in Gilgal. And even at a later period, when Ephraim and Manasseh were in their possessions, all Israel, with the exception of Judah, was still encamped at Shiloh. Moreover, the two parts of the nation were now separated by the territory which was afterwards assigned to the tribe of Benjamin, but had no owner at this time. And in addition to this, the altar, tabernacle, and Ark of the Covenant were in the midst of Joseph and the other tribes that were still assembled at Shiloh. Commentary on the Old Testament, 1973, Volume 2, Joshua, pages 124, 125. Shepa, Mount Shepha. A mountain on the Sinai Peninsula at which Israel had a campsite. New 33. 23, 24. Shepherd. A person who tends, feeds, and guards sheep or flocks of both sheep and goats. GE 30. 35, 36. Mount 25. 32. Sea sheep. The occupation of shepherds dates back to Adam's son Abel. GE 4. To although looked upon honorably elsewhere, in agricultural Egypt shepherds were viewed with disdain. GE 46. 34. Often the owner, his children both sons and daughters, or another relative cared for the flock. GE 29. 9. 30. 31. 1 to 16. 11 Among the wealthy, as in Nabal's case, servants worked as shepherds, and there may have been a chief or principal shepherd over the others. 1 to 21. 7. 25. 7, 14-17 When the owner or members of his family shepherded the animals, the flock usually fared well. But a hired man did not always have the same personal interest in the flock, which therefore suffered at times. Joe 10. 12, 13. The shepherd's equipment might include a tent Issa 38. 12. A garment in which he could wrap himself Joe 43. 12. A rod and a sling for defense, a bag for keeping provisions of food 1 to 17. 40. PS 23. 4. And a long curved staff or crook used in guiding the flock 27. 32. Mix 7. 14. Nomadic shepherds, like Abraham, dwelled in tents and moved about from one location to another to find pasturage for their flocks. GE 13. 2, 3, 18 However, at times the owner of the animals remained at a certain location, his home or base camp, whereas his servants or some family members traveled with the flock. GE 37. 12-17. 1 Sir 25. 2, 3, 7, 15, 16. Do sheep really know the voice of their particular shepherd? The flocks of several shepherds were sometimes penned in the same sheepfold for the night, with a doorkeeper to watch over them. When the shepherds arrived do textoi acute miritra longo, Cherubia 925 to point out the way, but to see that it is practicable and safe. The Land and the Book, revised by J. Grand, 1910, p. 179. Similarly, J. L. Porter, in The Giant Cities of Bashan and Syria's Holy Places, observes, the shepherds led their flocks forth from the gates of the city. They were in full view, and we watched them and listened to them with no little interest. Thousands of sheep and goats were there, grouped in dense, confused masses. The shepherds stood together until all came out. Then they separated, each shepherd taking a different path, and uttering as he advanced a shrill peculiar call. The sheep heard them. At first the masses swayed and moved, as if shaken by some internal convulsion. Then points struck out in the direction taken by the shepherds. These became longer and longer until the confused masses were resolved into long, living streams, flowing after their leaders. 1868, p. 45. In the evening the shepherd brought the animals back to the sheepfold, where he stationed himself at the door and counted the sheep as they passed beneath his crook or his hands. Law 27. 32. J 33. 13. See sheepfold. A rigorous life. The shepherd's life was not an easy one. He was exposed to both heat and cold, as well as to sleepless nights. GE 31. 40. Lu 2. 8. With personal danger to himself, he protected the flock from predators, such as lions, wolves, and bears, as well as from thieves. GE 31. 39. 1 Sir 17. 34-36. Issa 31. 4. and 3. 12. Joe 10. 10-12 The shepherd had to keep the flock from scattering 1 Car 22. 17. Look for lost sheep Lu 15. 4. Carry feeble or weary lambs in his bosom Issa 40. 11. And care for the sick and injured. Bandaging broken limbs and rubbing injuries with olive oil. PS 23. 5. S 34. 3, 4. Zek 11. 16 He had to exercise care when shepherding news giving suck. GE 33. 13 Daily, generally around noon, the shepherd watered the flock. GE 29. 3, 7, 8 If the animals were watered at wells, gutters in the ground or troughs had to be filled with water. X2. 16-19. Compare GE 24. 20. At the wells there sometimes were unpleasant encounters with other shepherds. GE 26. 20, 21. The shepherd was entitled to a share of the flock's produce 1 Co 9. 7, and often his wages were paid in animals GE 30. 28, 31-33. 31. 41, although sometimes also in money. Zek 11. 7, 12 He might have to make compensation for losses GE 31. 39, but under the law covenant no compensation was required for an animal torn by a wild beast. X 22. 13. What has been said concerning the shepherd can generally be applied to the herdsman. However, the occupation of herdsman was not restricted to tending sheep and goats. There were also herders of cattle, asses, camels, and swine. GE 12. 16. 13. 7, 8. Mount 8. 32, 33. Figurative and illustrative. Jehovah is a shepherd who lovingly cares for his sheep, that is, his people. PS 23. 1-6. 80. 1. J 31. 10. S 34. 11-16. 1 Pe 2. 25 His son Jesus Christ is the great shepherd. Hub 13. 20 And the chief shepherd, under whose direction the overseers in Christian congregations shepherd the flock of God, willingly, unselfishly, and eagerly. 1 Pe 5. 2-4 Jesus referred to himself as the fine shepherd, one who really has compassion for the sheep, and demonstrated this by surrendering his soul in their behalf. Joe 10. 11. See Mount 9. 36. But as foretold, the striking of the fine shepherd caused the flock to scatter. Zech 13. 7. Mount 26. 31. In the Bible, the term shepherds at times denotes the rulers and leaders of the Israelites, both faithful and unfaithful. Issa 63. 11. Jah 23. 1-4. 50. 6. S 34. 2-10. Compare New 27. 16-18. PS 78. 70-72. Similarly, the term shepherds applies to leaders of other nations. Jah 25. 34-36. 49. 19. Nah 3. 18. Compare Issa 44. 28. At Jeremiah 6. 3, the shepherds seem to represent the commanders of invading armies. The presence of shepherds with their flocks figures in a picture of restoration. Jah 33. O textoi acute miritra longo, Shieresh 926 Journey to Jerusalem in 468 BCE is right. 17. 18 He is probably the same person as the chief of the priests mentioned in Ezra 8. 24. One of those entrusted with transporting to Jerusalem the valuable things contributed for temple use. Ezra 8. 25-30. 3. Elvita assisted Ezra with reading and explaining the law to the people assembled in Jerusalem after the wall was rebuilt in 455 BCE and 8. 2, 7, 8 Later the same month, they again convened and Sherebiah joined in proposing a trustworthy arrangement, which the nation ratified, promising to remain faithfully to Jehovah. NE 9. 1, 4, 5, 38 This Sherebiah may have been the same Levite as No. 2. Personally attesting to the covenant, or he may have been a representative of some family by that name, perhaps descended from number 1. NE 10. 1, 9, 12. 12. 24. Shireshireshroot. A descendant of Manasseh and son of Machir by his wife Maacah. 1 Ch 7. 14, 16. Shishak. Probably a symbolic name for Babylon. Jah 25. 26. 51. 41 One suggestion is that Shishak means copper-gated, and this would fit Babylon. Still another view is that Shishak stood for Siskaki of an old Babylonian royal register. Sisku or Siska may have been a district of ancient Babylon. Jewish tradition, however, has it that Shishak is a cipher for the Hebrew name Babel or Babylon, by the device known as Athbash. According to this cryptographic system, the true name is disguised by replacing the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet or with the first Aleph, and the second last letter Shin with the second Beit, and so on. Consequently, in Babel each Beit B would be changed to Shinsh, and the Lamid L to Kaf Kh, thus becoming She middle dot Shake. The name Shishak may also imply humiliation, for which Babylon was due. Jah 25. 26, FTN. Cincino Books of the Bible, edited by A. Cohen, London, 1949. Shishai. Brother of Ahiman and Olamai. New 13. 22. Joes 15. 14. JG 1. 10. See him in number 1. Shishan. A descendant of Judah through Jerahmeel. Shishan had no sons and so gave his daughter probably Ale in marriage to his slave Jarrah in order to continue his line of descent. 1 Ch 2. 31, 34, 35. Shishbazar Shishmiddle.Bazar. An appointee of King Cyrus over the first exiles returning from Babylon. As he led the Jews back, Shishbazzar brought with him the gold and silver utensils that Nebuchadnezzar had looted from the temple. On arrival in Jerusalem, he laid the foundations of the second temple. As 1. 7-11. 5. 14-16. Opinion is somewhat divided as to whether Shishbazzar was the same person as Governor Zerubbabel or was some other individual. Shenazar the son of King Jehoiachin mentioned at 1 Chronicles 3:18 is suggested by some in view of the resemblance between the two names, as well as Shishbazzar's title Prince of Judah appearing in some versions of Ezra 1:8. As RS this theory is very weak, however, for the resemblance in names is not great, and Zerubbabel, the grandson of Jehoiachin, had just as much claim to the title Prince Chieftain, NW of Judah as an offspring of the first generation. Some modern scholars, in attempting to identify Shishbazzar and Zerubbabel as separate individuals, say that Cyrus first appointed Shishbazzar as governor, but that later Shishbazzar was succeeded by Zerubbabel during the reign of Darius, and therefore the building of the temple is credited to Zerubbabel. A great likelihood, it appears, is that Shishbazzar is the same as Zerubbabel, and the majority of scholars and reference works so connect the names. Note these points of comparison. In general, what is attributed to Shishbazzar in the two passages where he is mentioned by name is elsewhere in effect credited to Zerubbabel. Both are called by the title governor. As 1. 11. 2. 1, 2. 5. 2, 14, 16. Hag 1. 1, 14. 2. 2, 21. Zek 4. 9 Zerubbabel is acknowledged as leader of the returning exiles. O textoi acute miritra longo, Sheol 927 and others to Jerusalem to register their objections to the Jews rebuilding the temple, which work Artaxerxes had banned. However, the Jews kept working in spite of the complaints, while a report was made to Darius. Tatenai and Shethar-bozenai and his colleagues wrote to the king reporting on the activities in Jerusalem and stating that the temple builders had referred to an order of authorization that had been put through by Cyrus the king. They asked that the matter be investigated. Darius' reply acknowledged Cyrus' unchangeable decree and not only ordered Shethar-bozenai and his comrades to keep their distance from Jerusalem but also demanded, under severe penalty, that material support be provided from the royal treasury for the Jews so that their temple building and services could continue. Shethar-bozenai and his associates did as commanded. As 4. 23. 6. 13. Shiva Shiba. 1. From the root meaning make equal. Smooth out. Father of Macbenna and Jibi. As these are possibly names of towns, however, Shiva was perhaps the father of those who settled there, or was himself the founder of these towns. Shiva's father Caleb Chiluba headed one of the three major divisions of Judah's descendants through Hezron. 1 Ch 2. 9, 48-50. 2. David's secretary. 2 Sa 20. 25. Caesareno. 2. Shiba Baroth. Or, 7. A well that Isaac's servants dug, at Beersheba. GE 26. 32, 33. Compare 26. 18. They reported finding water there after concluding a covenant of peace with Abimelech the king of Gerar. Hence, Isaac named the well Shiba referring to an oath or statement sworn to by 7 things. GE 26. 26-33 Abraham had similarly made a covenant with Abimelech, either this Philistine king or another having the same name or title. On that occasion Abimelech accepted 7 female lambs from the patriarch in evidence of Abraham's title to a controversial well, perhaps the same one that Isaac later named Shiba. By using Shiba, another form of the name Sheba, Isaac also apparently was preserving the name Beersheba, originally given to this place by Abraham. GE 21. 22-32. See Beersheba. Shibboleth Shib by middle.neth. The password used by the men of Gilead to identify Ephraimites who tried to flee across the Jordan. It means ear of grain or flowing stream. Escaping Ephraimites, during their conflict with Jephthah, gave themselves away to the Gileadite sentries at the fords of the Jordan by mispronouncing the initial sh sound of this password. They would say Sibboleth. JG 12. 4-6 Thus, it is evident that some variation of pronunciation existed among the tribes, even as in later times the Galileans had a manner of speech distinct from the Judeans. Compare Mount 26. 73. Lu 22. 59. Shield. See arms, armor. Shihor from Egyptian, meaning pond of horrors. Evidently the eastmost branch of the Nile River in the Delta region. Shior, in its 4 occurrences in the Hebrew text, is always associated with Egypt. Jos 13. 3. Branch of the Nile. 1ch 13. 5. River. Issa 23. 3. J2. 18 While some commentators would equate it with the torrent valley of Egypt Nu 34. 5. Usually identified with the Wadi al-Arish, Sov Gaza, Jeremiah 2. 18 and Isaiah 23. 3 appear to link it more closely with Egypt and the Nile than was the case with this latter torrent valley, or Wadi. Particularly the Isaiah text with its reference to the seed of Sheol would seem to apply to a regularly flowing stream Nile rather than to a seasonal one Archel. For these reasons the Sheol, at least in these 2 texts, is more often identified with the eastmost arm of the Nile after it divides into several branches upon reaching the Delta region. This position might allow for its being referred to as in front of, that is, on the E of or to the E of Egypt, as at Joshua 13. 3. This latter text, however, forms part of the description of the O textoi acute Muritra longo Sheol Ibnath 928 covenant up to Jerusalem and the congregating of the people in Solomon's day from the entering in of Hamath down to the torrent valley of Egypt. 1ch 13. 5. 1 Chi 8. 65 The explanation for this may be that in the latter case Solomon's time the account gives the practical boundaries of Israelite residence. The region between the Wadi al-Arish and the eastern arm of the Nile is basically desert territory and scrubland, so this Wadi, or torrent valley, fittingly marked the limit of territory suitable for Israelite inhabitation, whereas in the former case David's the description may be that of the entire region of Israelite activity, the region effectively dominated by David, which indeed ran to the border of Egypt. Even prior to David, King Saul had pursued the Amalekites as far as Shur, which is in front of Egypt 1:15. 7. And the dominion Solomon received through David is stated to have reached to the boundary of Egypt. 1 Chi 4. 21 So, even though the territory actually distributed to the Israelite tribes did not extend beyond the torrent valley of Egypt, this would not appear to argue against the identification of the Sheol with a branch of the Nile at Joshua 13. 3 And the river of Egypt at 1 Chronicles 13. 5. The word Sheol does not occur at Genesis 15. 18, where Jehovah promised Abraham the land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. So, here also, there is a question as to whether the river form of Nile of Egypt refers to some part of the Nile or to the torrent valley Nachal of Egypt, the Wadi al-Arish. The answer would depend upon whether Jehovah here described the actual area distributed as a tribal inheritance or referred to the whole region dominated by the Israelite kingdom at its greatest extent. If the former, then this text would likely apply to the Wadi al-Arish. If the latter, then to the Sheol. See Egypt, torrent valley of Sheol Ibnath. Eusebius and Jerome believe Sheol Ibnath originally constituted the name of 2 sites, Sheol and Labernath. However, it is apparently a river on Asher's boundary. Jos 19. 24-26 Some geographers connect the Sheol Ibnath with the Nahal Tananim, which flows into the Mediterranean Sea about 10 km 6 miles of Dor. Shikon Shikei Middle.ron. A site on the boundary of Judah. Jos 15. 1, 11 Some tentatively identify it with Tel El-Ful, about 5 km 3 mi and W of Ekong, but El-Makana Tel Mikn, with which it is mentioned in the Joshua account. Shilhai, father of Azubah, who was Asa's wife and the mother of Jehoshaphat. 1 Chi 22. 41-43. 2 Ch 20. 31. Shilhim. A city in the southern part of Judah. Jos 15. 21, 32 It seems to be the same as Shirah, listed among the cities in Judah's territory belonging to Simeon. Jos 19. 1, 6. The list at 1 Chronicles 4. 31 appears to call the same city Sha'araim. Tel El Farah Tel Shurur, Han, about 35 km 22 MW of Beersheba, is tentatively identified with it. Shilem from a root meaning make peace. Compensate. Repay. Last named of Naphtali's 4 sons listed among the names of Israel's sons who came into Egypt. GE 46. 8, 24 He founded the tribal family of Shilemites. New 26. 49, 50 at 1 Chronicles 7. 13 His name is spelled Shalom in the Masoretic text, though Shilem is found in 7 Hebrew manuscripts. Shiloh Middle Lo Ascender. It appears that the name Shiloh designated a conduit or canal at Jerusalem. One ancient canal ran from the mouth of the cave of the Gihon spring down the Kidron Valley and around the end of this hill to a pool at the junction of the Hinnom and Tyropian valleys. The canal's gradient of about 4 or 5 mm per meter less than 0.2 inches per yard produced a slow gentle flow, a feature that would fit the waters of the Shiloh that are going gently. The reference to these waters of Otextoi acute Miritra Longo, Shilonite 929 in the centuries that followed. Jesus Christ is the only descendant of David to whom kingship was promised. Before the birth of Jesus, the angel Gabriel said to Mary, Jehovah God will give him the throne of David his father, and he will rule as king over the house of Jacob forever, and there will be no end of his kingdom. Luke 1. 32, 33 Therefore, Zillow must be Jesus Christ, the Lion that is of the tribe of Judah. Re 5. 5. Compare Isra 11. 10. Row 15. 12. Concerning the ancient Jewish view of Genesis 49. 10. A commentary edited by F.C. Cook P. 233 notes. All Jewish antiquity referred the prophecy to Messiah. Thus the Targum of Enkelos has until the Messiah come, whose is the kingdom. The Jerusalem Targum, until the time that the King Messiah shall come, whose is the kingdom. So the Babylonian Talmud Sanhedrim, Cap. 2. Fol. 982, What is Messiah's name? His name is Silo, for it is written, until Silo come. 2. A city located in the territory of Ephraim and north of Bethel, toward the east of the highway that goes up from Bethel to Shechem and toward the south of Lebanon. JG 21. 19. The generally accepted identification for Shiloh is Batsalon Shiloh, about 15 kilometers 9.5 mi of Bethel. The site fits the biblical description. It occupies a hill and, with the exception of a valley on this, is surrounded by higher hills. After the tabernacle was set up at Shiloh, Jos 18. 1. The apportioning of the land to the Israelites was completed from there. Jos 18. 1. 21. 42. Following the division of the land, the tribes east of the Jordan erected an altar by that river. Viewing this as an act of apostasy, the other tribes assembled at Shiloh to fight against them. However, when it was explained that the altar was to be a memorial of faithfulness to Jehovah, peaceful relations were maintained. Jos 22. 10-34. At a later time, 12,000 valiant Israelite warriors undertook punitive action against the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead for failing to join in the fight against the Benjamites. However, 400 virgins of Jabesh Gilead were brought to Shiloh and later given to the Benjamites. The Benjamites were also instructed to get other wives from the daughters of Shiloh, carrying them off by force as the women participated in the circle dances associated with the yearly festival to Jehovah held at Shiloh. JG 21. 8-23. During most, if not all, of the period covered by the Book of Judges, the tabernacle remained at Shiloh. JG 18. 31. Once a 1. 3, 9, 24. 2. 14. 3. 21. 1 Kai 2. 27. Shortly before High Priest Eli's death, the Israelites, while fighting the Philistines, removed the ark from the tabernacle and transferred it to the battlefield, trusting in its presence to give them victory. However, Jehovah allowed the Philistines to capture the ark. As it was never returned to Shiloh, this signified that Jehovah had forsaken Shiloh, since the ark represented his presence. Once a 4.